The night was supposed to be about laughter, drinks, and dancing, but instead, my phone screen burned me alive. Photos of my best friend's lips pressed against the boy I'd called mine only hours before. I never thought a night in London could change everything so fast. One minute, Chloe and I were dancing under flashing lights, laughing like nothing could touch us. Next, I was staring at my phone in the corner of the club, my stomach sinking lower than the floor. Grace had sent me the photos, and they were clear, too clear. Ethan, my date, had his hands around Chloe's waist, pulling her in like she was the only person who mattered. Their mouths locked in a kiss that screamed betrayal. I wanted to throw up right there, but the music was too loud, and the bass kept shaking my chest. My hands trembled, but I kept swiping, hoping it was a mistake, hoping it wasn't her, hoping it wasn't him. But it was both. Chloe, my best friend, Ethan, the boy I thought was choosing me tonight. Around me, girls screamed lyrics to songs, boys shoved past with drinks spilling, and the smell of sweat and perfume tangled in the air. Yet all I could think was, how do I face her now? The night was only starting, but for me, it had already ended. I shoved my phone into my bag so hard it nearly cracked, forcing a smile as Chloe stumbled back toward me with her lipstick smudged and her hair messy, like she'd just won a prize. "You okay, Maya?" she shouted over the music, pretending she hadn't just kissed the one person she knew I liked. My throat burned as if I'd swallowed fire, but I nodded, forcing a laugh that didn't belong to me. I told myself maybe it wasn't as bad as it looked. Maybe it was the alcohol. Maybe I was overthinking. But Grace's texts kept buzzing. "You saw it. Are you okay? Do you want to leave?" My fingers itched to reply, to scream, to run, but instead I danced. I danced next to Chloe while she spun around, raising her arms like nothing had happened, like she hadn't destroyed me in a single second. My body moved with the music, but my mind was frozen on the image of Ethan's hands on her waist. I wanted to scream in her face, but instead, I let the night keep going, pretending everything was fine, because the thought of everyone seeing me break down in the middle of the club was worse than the pain sitting in my chest. When the night finally slowed and the music softened into a slower beat, Ethan found his way back to me like nothing had happened. His smile was smooth, his shirt wrinkled, his breath smelling of beer and secrets. "Having fun?" he asked, leaning in close, and I nearly gagged. I wanted to slap him, to shout, to ask why her, but instead I froze, my voice trapped behind my teeth. Chloe came bouncing up behind him, wrapping her arms around both of us like we were one happy group. "Best night ever," she giggled, and I thought I'd choke on the lie of it all. Grace caught my eyes from across the dance floor, her eyebrows raised in silent warning. Do not let this slide. But how could I cause a scene with everyone watching? My heart was breaking in silence, while Chloe laughed like she had nothing to hide. Ethan kept touching my arm like he owned me, while I was stuck in a nightmare, smiling for photos, dancing when I wanted to disappear. By the time we left the club, the cold London air slapped me harder than anything Chloe or Ethan could have said. My heels clicked against the pavement, my bag heavy with the weight of secrets I didn't ask for. Chloe was drunk, laughing too loudly, holding on to Ethan's arm like it was normal, like I didn't exist. Grace walked beside me, quiet but close, her hand brushing mine now and then like she wanted me to know I wasn't alone. The cab pulled up, and somehow I ended up in the back seat, with Chloe leaning on my shoulder, Ethan squeezed next to her, and Grace staring out the window. Streetlights blurred past as my mind replayed the photos over and over, the sound of Chloe's laugh digging into my skin. Ethan's hand brushed my knee once, and I jerked away like it burned. Nobody spoke about what had happened, but the silence screamed louder than words. London outside was alive, but inside that cab, my world was dead. Back in my room, I sat on the edge of my bed, makeup smeared, hair tangled, staring at my phone as the messages rolled in. Grace, you okay? Ellie, girl, what happened tonight? Everyone's talking. Liam, don't blame Ethan. It wasn't like that. Chloe herself even texted, best night, ever love, you. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. How could she act like nothing happened? How could Ethan's best friend already be running defense? The group chat was buzzing with memes and photos, people tagging me and Chloe, calling us icons. But all I could see was the betrayal hidden behind every smiling picture. I typed out a reply to Chloe, we need to talk, then deleted it. I typed out a message to Ethan, why would you do this to me? Then deleted that too. Instead, I turned my phone face down, buried my head in my pillow, and let the tears come in heavy, silent waves. The next morning, Chloe waltzed into the kitchen like nothing had happened, humming while she poured herself cereal in my flat. She had crashed on my couch after the night out, too drunk to make it home. I watched her spoon cornflakes into her mouth while my own stomach twisted, the smell of coffee doing nothing to calm me. Last night was mad, right? She said with a grin, as if the kiss never happened, as if the photos didn't exist. I wanted to scream, how could you? But instead, I nodded weakly, pretending to sip my coffee. Grace hadn't replied to my last message, and Ethan hadn't said a word. My chest felt heavy, but Chloe's laugh filled the room like she hadn't broken me. By noon, Grace finally called me. Her voice was sharp but careful, like she was stepping on broken glass. Maya, you can't let this slide, she said. She kissed him. He let her. And now she's pretending it didn't happen. That's not friendship. I wanted to argue, to defend Chloe, but the words died in my throat. Grace didn't stop. If you don't talk to her, this will eat you alive. And if you don't talk to him, he'll think he can get away with it. I stared at Chloe, scrolling through her phone on my couch, laughing at memes like she wasn't the villain in my story. My head pounded with Grace's words. Don't let this slide. That afternoon, Ethan texted, can we talk? My hands shook as I typed back. About what? He replied, it wasn't what it looked like. She kissed me. I didn't mean for it to happen. My chest tightened with anger, because wasn't that always the excuse? Still, I agreed to meet him at the cafe near campus. When I walked in, Ethan sat by the window, sipping his coffee like he owned the place. He leaned forward, his voice low. Maya, you're the one I want. Chloe was drunk. She kissed me. I didn't stop her because I didn't want to embarrass her in front of everyone. His excuses rolled out like a script. My stomach churned, but my eyes stayed locked on him, searching for a hint of guilt, of truth. But all I saw was charm covering cracks. By the evening, Ellie had posted the photos in the group chat with the caption, spicy. My stomach dropped as notifications exploded. Laughing emojis, shocked reactions, People asking, oh, isn't Ethan with Maya? Chloe replied first with, OMG, that's just a drunk kiss, lol, stop overthinking. Ethan stayed silent. Grace immediately jumped in. Not funny. Maya doesn't deserve this. The chat spiraled into chaos, memes, debates, gossip spreading like fire. I wanted to delete the whole thing, to disappear, but instead I sat frozen, watching my humiliation play out in real time. That night, lying awake in the dark, I kept replaying everything. Chloe's laugh, Ethan's excuses, Grace's warning, Ellie's gossip. My mind swirled with one question I couldn't push away. Did Chloe even care about me at all? She'd been my best friend for years, the one who knew every secret, every heartbreak, every dream. And yet, she had chosen him, even just for a moment, knowing it would destroy me. I wanted to confront her, but I was terrified of the answer. Because if she said she didn't care, then what did I have left? The silence of my room felt heavier than any words could, pressing on my chest until sleep finally dragged me under. The next day at university, Grace pulled me aside before class. Her tone was firm, no space for excuses. Maya, you either confront her or I will. I can't sit here watching you get walked over. My chest tightened because she was right. Chloe sat a few rows away, laughing with Ellie, like the world was perfect. Ethan wasn't in sight, but his presence was everywhere, like smoke that wouldn't leave the room. Grace's hand squeezed mine. This isn't just about a boy. This is about respect. I nodded, but my stomach turned because respect was the one thing Chloe had never thought twice about giving or taking away. Later, I cornered Chloe outside the library. My words rushed out before I could stop them. Why did you kiss him? She froze, eyes wide, then laughed lightly like it was a silly question. Maya, it wasn't serious. It was a drunk mistake. You're overreacting. The casual way she brushed it off made my skin crawl. But you knew how I felt about him, I said, my voice shaking. Chloe sighed, flipping her hair. Come on, don't make this a big deal. You're my best friend. Don't let a boy ruin that. But standing there, watching her smirk, I realized she didn't think she'd done anything wrong at all. That evening, Ethan showed up outside my flat, knocking until I opened the door. We need to fix this, he said, his jaw tight. People are talking, and it's getting out of hand. His tone wasn't apologetic, it was defensive. I crossed my arms, blocking the doorway. Fix this? You caused this. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. You think I wanted this? Chloe kissed me. I didn't kiss her back. His words were sharp, practiced, but my gut twisted with doubt. I didn't invite him in. I just stood there, staring at him, until the silence grew so heavy, he finally walked away. By the next day, whispers filled the campus halls. Ellie had clearly spread the story further, and now everyone seemed to have an opinion. That's Maya, the one whose friend kissed her guy, I overheard someone say. Another voice added, Chloe's wild, but that's too far. My cheeks burned as I walked past groups of students who pretended not to stare. Grace walked beside me like a shield, glaring at anyone who whispered too loudly. They're feeding off this drama like it's their favorite show, she muttered. I kept my head down, wishing I could vanish, but I knew the story wasn't dying anytime soon. That weekend, Chloe's older brother Tom showed up at my flat. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, his expression serious. I heard what happened, he said, voice low. My stomach dropped. Tom had always been protective, And if he was here, it meant Chloe's family already knew. "Is it true?" he asked, eyes narrowing. I nodded slowly, unable to form words, his jaw clenched. "She's reckless, but I didn't think she'd hurt you like that." For the first time, someone from Chloe's own world admitted she was wrong. But instead of relief, I just felt emptier. Because if even her brother doubted her, what did that mean for our friendship? When I finally saw Chloe again, she acted like nothing had changed. She strolled into class, dropped her bag next to mine, and whispered, "You're not still mad, are you?" My blood boiled. I stared at her, wondering if she even understood what she'd done. "You humiliated me," I said quietly. Chloe rolled her eyes. "Everyone's being dramatic. It was just a kiss. Stop letting Grace put ideas in your head." That was the moment I realized Chloe didn't just betray me, she wanted me to doubt myself too. Later, Grace pulled me aside again. "She's gaslighting you," she said firmly. "She's trying to make you think you're crazy for being hurt. Don't let her win." Her words sank deep, because part of me had been questioning if I was overreacting. Grace's eyes burned with anger. "You deserve better friends than her, Maya. If you forgive her now, she'll keep walking all over you." I wanted to believe her, but my history with Chloe felt like chains I couldn't break. That night, Ethan called me, his voice slurred. "Maya, you know you're the one I want," he said. But then he added something that froze my blood. "Chloe she makes it easy." I sat in silence, gripping the phone until my knuckles turned white. Easy? Was this his excuse? That Chloe was tempting and I should just accept it? My chest tightened. I didn't hang up right away, though. I wanted to hear every rotten truth spill out. And in that moment, I knew Ethan wasn't just a mistake. He was a danger to my self-worth. By morning, Ellie had twisted the story again. Now she was telling people I was jealous, that Chloe and Ethan had real chemistry, and I was just bitter. I overheard her laughing in the cafeteria, surrounded by a small crowd eating up every word. My appetite vanished. Grace muttered under her breath, "She lives for drama," but her words didn't help. Watching Ellie spread poison made me realize how quickly the truth could be buried under lies if I stayed quiet. That night, I sat in my flat staring at the mirror. My reflection looked like a stranger, eyes red, lips trembling, shoulders slumped. I whispered out loud, "Why am I letting them win?" It wasn't just Chloe, or Ethan, or Ellie. It was me, shrinking smaller every day, pretending I was okay. My fists clenched on the sink. For the first time, anger burned hotter than heartbreak. I knew the next time Chloe laughed it off, or Ethan tried to charm his way out, or Ellie whispered lies, I wouldn't stay quiet. Something inside me had snapped. The next time Chloe came over, she tossed her bag on my couch and started talking about weekend plans like nothing was wrong. I cut her off mid-sentence. "Chloe, stop. You don't get to walk in here and pretend nothing happened." Her smile faltered, her eyes narrowing. "Are you still on about that? Seriously?" My voice shook, but I stayed firm. "Yes, because it wasn't just a kiss. It was a betrayal. And I'm done acting like I'm okay." Chloe crossed her arms, scoffing. But this time, I didn't shrink. I held her gaze until she finally looked away. When Chloe stormed out, Grace came over minutes later, like she'd been waiting for this moment. She found me shaking, adrenaline still racing. Grace hugged me so tightly I could finally breathe again. "That's the first step," she whispered. "Don't let her rewrite the story." Tell your truth before they twist it even more. Her words hit deep. For weeks, I'd been reacting, hiding, shrinking. But maybe Grace was right. Maybe I needed to step forward and make them face what they'd done. The next morning, my fingers hovered over my phone. Heart pounding, I typed, "Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it's the people you trust most." I attached one of the photos, Chloe and Ethan kissing, their faces lit up by club lights, and hit post before I could second guess myself. Within minutes, notifications exploded. Likes, shares, comments. Finally, the truth. Maya deserves better. Chloe's canceled. The story was no longer whispered in hallways. It was out in the open, undeniable. For the first time, the shame wasn't mine. By lunchtime, Chloe was blowing up my phone. Calls, texts, voicemails. "Delete it now. You're ruining my life. How could you do this to me?" Each message made me angrier. She hadn't once said sorry. Not once. When I ignored her, she showed up outside the cafeteria, red-faced and shaking. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone," she shouted. I stood tall, my voice clear. "You did that to yourself." People were watching, phones out, recording. And for once, I didn't care. That night, Ethan texted again, this time desperate. "You've ruined everything. People think I'm trash now. Can we talk?" I stared at his words, a bitter laugh escaping me. For weeks, I'd cried over him, doubted myself, begged for answers. Now he was the one scrambling. I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked his number, letting the silence answer for me. For the first time in weeks, I felt a strange, shaky kind of peace. The campus was split. Some sided with Chloe, saying I was too harsh, while others called her a snake. The tension was everywhere. Cafeteria tables divided, whispers in lecture halls, people choosing sides like it was a war. Grace stayed glued to my side, loyal as ever, while Ellie scurried between groups, fanning the flames. Chloe walked past me once, her chin high, pretending she didn't care, but her red eyes told the truth. She hated losing control of the story. Tom found me again, this time looking angrier than before. "She's not sleeping, Maya. She cries every night, but she still won't admit she messed up." His voice was low, pained. I sighed. I didn't want to destroy her. I just wanted the truth out. Tom's eyes softened, but only a little. "Then you got what you wanted, but you also broke her." His words sat heavy in my chest. Because maybe I hadn't just ended a friendship. I had ended a part of Chloe, too. Ellie finally cornered me in the library. "You know, Maya, you kind of love this attention, don't you?" Her smirk made my stomach twist. "First, you play the victim. Then you post the photos, and now everyone's talking about you. Sounds convenient." Her words cut deeper than I expected, but instead of breaking me, I smiled coldly. At least I didn't build my life on gossip. What happens to you when there's nothing left to talk about? For once, Ellie didn't have a comeback. A week later, Chloe showed up at my door. No makeup, no smile, just tired eyes. "I miss us," she whispered. My throat tightened. For a moment, I saw the girl I'd grown up with, the one I trusted with everything. But then I remembered the photos, the lies, the way she laughed it off. "I can't go back," I said softly. Tears welled in her eyes, but she nodded. We stood there in silence, years of friendship hanging in the air, before she finally turned and walked away. The semester ended quietly. No more whispers, no more explosions. Chloe drifted away, Ethan disappeared, and Ellie found new drama to chase. Grace remained by my side, steady and loyal. One evening, I sat on a bench overlooking the Thames, the city lights reflecting on the water. For the first time in months, I felt light. The betrayal had cut me, scarred me, but it had also freed me. I wasn't the girl who stayed silent anymore. I wasn't defined by Chloe or Ethan. I was defined by myself. And that was enough.